Hey there, lunatics. Today I am back in corekeeper because we have got some more news about corekeeper version 1.2, the next update to the game that is coming hopefully sometime within the next month or two. They've said it's coming during the fall. I hope that means before October. We don't have a release date yet, unfortunately, but we do have a couple of more little sneak peeks that have been given to us by Frederick, the CEO, as well as by Bridie and a few of the people over at Fireshine. So let's go ahead and take a look at these little teases, shall we? So first, let's take a look at this post from Frederick over on Twitter. It's a little grainy, but you can see that they are adding conveyor splitters into the game with the next update. Considering all the various automation themed kind of updates that we've seen, I think it's pretty safe to say that we are correct, and this is absolutely an automation based update. With this one alone, you're able to take any item that hits those conveyor belts and it'll split them in half and move half the stack one way, the other half of the stack the other way. No idea how it's going to handle only having one item at a time. I mean, we will see how that little splitter works when we get it. I'm really curious to kind of test it and see what it really can and cannot do. Although I have to admit, I'm not fully sure what I will ever use the splitter for. So I would love to get some ideas from you guys as to what you think this little conveyor belt splitter could be extremely useful for, because I'm honestly lacking imagination on it. I'm struggling to figure it out. So leave a comment. Let me know what you're hoping to use these splitters for. And maybe, I can compile some sort of video together at some point with all of these various options. So this little picture here isn't really a spoiler for any of the 1.2 upcoming stuff. It's just when I was searching through Frederick's Twitter feed to just see what he'd posted, see if I'd missed anything, I actually came across this image that Frederick had posted from one of their team members named Oscar, who drew these amazing illustrations. Now, this was posted back in January, and I missed it then, so I wanted to at least take a second to just kind of show off this really cool little image with these really well-drawn cavelings and just some lore information about each one of these early game cavelings. I think it's really, really cool, and I highly recommend that you check it out when you have a second. Pause the video here, maybe read up on it, or check out Frederick's Twitter page and see the actual post itself. Not a spoiler for anything 1.2, just something I thought was really, really cool and wanted to show it off, and I didn't have anywhere else to show it off. So here it is. I love how these little caveling miners here are kind of like wearing pants all the way up to their neck, and it's just kind of like right up into their crotch. I think that's hilarious. So check this out. It's really, really neat. And then over on the Discord the other day, Bridie posted this image, which is another one of the little caveling journals that they periodically send to us, which I think is really well done. I love the theme behind this whole journal idea. And in here, we are going to see some new things that they are bringing in 1.2. The player in this journal asks, how to harvest. I've so many delicious crops growing, but they tend to sit unharvested while I'm out adventuring. And that's precious time that could be spent growing more food. Perhaps there's some way I can augment the design of my patented robot arm to assist with gardening? Well, what that tells me is that robot arms are getting an upgrade so that they can be used for auto-harvesting crops. I don't know exactly what this means. Does this mean that we're going to get some sort of new robot arm? Does this mean that robot arms are just going to have their mechanics changed so that they no longer pick up crops that aren't fully grown? That is entirely possible. Or could it be something a little bit more complicated than that? Let me know in the comments what you think we're going to do with the robot arms, but it definitely looks like we're getting auto crop harvesting, which is something that we have wanted since the very beginning of the game. Very, very exciting. Here's the thing, though, with these robot arms. If the robot arms are being changed so that they can auto-harvest, We also need a change to them that lets them auto plant, because auto harvesting and growing all these crops is useless to us if we aren't also auto planting the crops so that time again isn't wasted while we're out and about exploring. It's got to do both harvesting and planting. So hopefully whatever changes that they have made will let it do both of those things. Next mentions more efficient fishing. Is there anything more relaxing than fishing? I mean, maybe a frontal lobotomy, but I'm not a fan of fishing. I'd spend all day fishing if I had the time. Oof, boy, good for you, bro. I suppose I wouldn't be making anywhere near as many discoveries if I did that, though. There's no way I'd ever fully retire my beloved fishing rod, but it'd be nice to come home to a net full of tasty fish after a hard day's work. Something to think about. And that right there, folks, I believe is confirmation that we are going to get fishing nets in the 1.2 update. I'm willing to bet that these fishing nets only will catch fish. So if you want to get gear or valuables or any of the non-fishing items, you're probably still going to need to use the fishing rod. But at least this way, you can do some casual fishing with the nets so that you don't have to worry as much about fish. Not sure how this is going to relate to skill gain. I have a feeling that we might not get any skill gain from these fishing nets, but we will really see. I wouldn't mind if there was a little bit of skill gain, but I'd also be totally okay if fishing nets didn't provide any skill gain for fishing and you have to use the fishing rod in order to gain skill. Either way, I'm okay with it. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I definitely want to get everybody's feedback. I think that especially right now, shortly before 1.2 comes out, if we're seeing these things that they're planning and we can make like suggestions on how we'd love to see it implemented, there may be the ability for the devs to do little tweaks here and there if some of these suggestions are realistic. So definitely be sure to leave a comment and let the devs know what you think. And then the final entry here is called Aching Back. I've been making good use of the laboratory table lately, and the explosives I've been crafting have been a real boon when it comes to exploration and gathering resources. An unintended side effect, however, is the pain I'm feeling in my back every time I bend down to pick up the loot I've been uncovering. I thought I might train my sub-terrier to fetch me items, but he thinks it's a game and won't bring them back. Maybe this is a task better suited to a machine. I think that's why we see this little picture down here in the lower left-hand corner, which has the sub-terrier with an ancient gemstone in his mouth, and he's playing fetch. You see his tail is wagging, he's excited, he's not giving that back to you, he's going to run around with it. So I don't believe that our pets are going to start collecting items. That is, I think, kind of like a red herring. They're saying, oh yeah, it would be cool if we used the pets to gain them, but we're not gonna. Instead, this is a task better suited to a machine. So it's entirely possible that we're going to start getting some sort of like automated companions, like maybe a new companion or a new pet that that is mechanical, one that we craft instead of find an egg for. And by crafting it, it'll run around picking up all of our loot for us in like a certain radius. Now, what kind of radius do you want it to be? We already can pick up loot really easily in a pretty large radius with the magnetic rings and the trench coat. So do we want something that picks things up in a bigger radius? Do we want some sort of robot that'll just roam around a specific area, picking up any loot that drops in that area? Do we want it to follow us, to not follow us, both? I think there are advantages to any of that. Imagine having a machine that picks up loot, but it's not following you around, it's just in a certain area. Well, that'll change how mob farms are designed, because you wouldn't necessarily need conveyor belts pushing all of your mob loot into a single location. You could have the loot a little bit more spread out, maybe not have conveyor belts at all, which could be useful for earlier game players who haven't got conveyor belts yet, or don't have the resources for hundreds or thousands of conveyor belts. This could be a significantly cheaper alternative to picking up all that mob farm loot. But if this is a pet and it's following you around, then I personally think it needs a radius that is at least comparable to a couple rings, or maybe a little bigger. It can't be the same radius that would just be you roaming around. If it is, it has no purpose. So I'm hoping we have something that's a little bit bigger and that'll roam around a little bit further to pick up the stuff that we need. But that's it right now, guys. They have not given us a whole bunch yet. We're just getting little drips and drizzles of teases here. And I'm sure that shortly after I post this video, Frederick is probably going to post another tease. And I'm going to sit there going like, God dang it, why couldn't you have posted this 2 hours ago? That's okay. That's the nature of the beast, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you never miss out on any Core Keeper news. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay crazy, everyone.